Welcome back, guys. So I completely forgot to record. I was just installing the timing cover, so the plastic. So I did that. So there's one bolt that's over here. There's another one over there, if it focuses, and then another one right here. That's all there is to it. I also installed this, which is only 2 bolts, so timing belt tensioner, like the idler pulley, and this is a tensioner. I didn't tighten this one since it's the last step whenever you're putting the timing belt with the cam and everything, so I let it loose. Now I'm going to be installing the oil pump right now. So you have 3 components that are very important whenever doing that. You have the seal that goes around the crankshaft. You have the gasket on the inside and the outer O-ring. So very important to lube this and that as well. This one, there's only one way to put it. You'll figure it out. The bolts are not perfectly square, so there's only one way to put it, and you'll just figure it out. It's very simple. I'll show you how it looks on the oil pump on the inside. So this is what it's supposed to look like once installed. If you put it the other way, it simply, the bolts, the holes for the bolts simply won't line up, so you cannot really make a mistake and put it the wrong way. So it's maybe 100 times easier to install the seal on the oil pump, whenever it's off the car. Usually there's a tool for that you can buy from VOLVO, but honestly, whenever it's off the car, you can literally just make sure it's all even everywhere. Just firmly press evenly around it, and then you can use the heel of your hand, of your palm, and then just push it in evenly, making sure it goes in. So you can always double check by looking at here, the gap, if it's even all the way. And if I look right now, it seems to be the case, which is perfect. Just making sure it's also seated from the inside, and it looks like it is. Just there you go, that should do the trick. I really hope it focuses. Yeah, so you can see it's all equal, it's seated properly. So now you can make sure to just barely lube here, just enough, almost nothing. So it's slippery, just enough. So whenever you're gonna put it back on the crankshaft, you have to pry it over the crankshaft very carefully without ripping it. So that's what we're gonna be doing now. So I'm gonna be putting the gasket first, making sure everything's aligned. I'm gonna use my phone. Perfectly. So now the seal here, you need to use a very small either screwdriver or the eye tool from Volvo, but I'm not gonna use that. Just slowly push it around without ripping it, while applying even pressure a bit everywhere. There you go. So now it's on the crankshaft, but just to make sure, I'm gonna use my phone to put some light, see if it's aligned properly, which is the case, which is perfect. So I'm gonna take the time to put it, while I'm gonna put it in that hole here, I'm gonna take the time to look in the other holes if the gasket is still aligned. So by doing that, now that this is aligned perfectly, next step is making sure that the outer seal is not being pushed out, squeezed, or folded. So you want to make sure there's even pressure all over the place. And again, still make sure this seal is seated properly, because it's a very important step. And then just slowly but surely push it in. Just that's perfect. One important thing, I think I forgot to mention it actually. There's splines on the inside, obviously, for the oil pump. Sometimes whenever you're trying to put it, it physically won't get into place, because instead of the teeth being like that, they're like that. So you're trying to push it, it's physically just held together by the teeth. It's very important that you move just barely slowly the oil pump gearing on the inside without going crazy while it's dry, so that way you have it aligned. So never force it. If you feel like there's actual force, like you see that it's not the contact with the seal, it's not the O-ring that's touching the inside of the block, it's that there's actual metal feel, like you hear, this is what you hear, then I'll advise you take a second just to make sure the teeth are aligned. Seems to me like it's aligned perfectly. I'm gonna double check for the O-ring, make sure it's not out of its place. It seems good, so I'm gonna start tightening slowly, and then if there's still any loose, it's gonna going on its own. Obviously, always check how the seal here around the crankshaft is looking. It's looking really great right now. I'm gonna obviously take the time and show you with the camera from closer, but I just want to finish this step so I make sure. So T3 with ratchet. Never do it on the same side, always do it in a cross pattern or an X shape, whatever you want to call it. So you see, I'm literally just hand tightening. Look, I'm gonna only use this without the ratchet. And I'm gonna slowly do it. Look, now there's some force, I'm gonna slowly do it. I hope you can see with the camera. Look, you see, it's still going inside just a tiny bit. So I'm gonna keep doing that until I cannot do it with my hand. So I'm still doing that. A couple. Look, see, this one was tight. Now it's loose. Now again, same thing. Loose again, loose again, and so on. And I keep doing that until I can do it. While I'm doing that, I keep an eye on the inside here, making sure the seal is not out of place, and same thing, the O-ring on the outer side. Very, very important steps. Some people, sometimes they tighten it, they don't see here, there's a very small kink, it's a bit folded, or it's not even all over the outer diameter. The second they started, there's gonna start leaking, and then it really depends on how much it folded on its face, or how much it's folded, or how much it's kinked. You either have a minor or a major leak. That's just something you do not want to have. It's just a headache. You just rebuilt your engine. It's completely useless. So take the time to do it properly once. It's better to do it twice. So now it's getting a bit harder with my hand, so I'm gonna slowly use the ratchet, nothing crazy. And again, cross pattern. Yep, so it got really tight. That's just perfect. There you go. Sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up the camera and show you guys how it looks. So I'm gonna do that. All right, so I'm gonna lower a bit the brightness. There you go. So I'm gonna try and use manually the focus so I can show you what I mean. Okay, so the first step was putting the gasket. While I was making sure everything's aligned, I was putting one bolt while looking here, making sure the holes for the gasket, for the other bolts, was still aligned. So that's very important to do. So I was putting here, looking here, putting here, looking here, putting here, looking here. Once that's done, so if you look closely, if it focuses, okay. I don't know how to show you actually. Okay, that's perfect. So if you look here, right? Okay. The first time I put the oil pump on, the seal, this here, that outer edge was over here. Hence why I slowly picked it up, picked it up, picked it up. So you do that all around it. Once that's done, you see it should have that look, like the inner lip will look like that. And once you do that, and then you make sure it's still in its place, you're gonna take a look all around it and make sure that now I'm trying to show you, but you cannot see it anymore. I'm talking about the outer O-ring. And then I'll show you. So you see how much it got inside. Look, all of that, it traveled all of that here. So that's why I tell you to always keep an eye on that. It's very, very, very important to keep looking, keep making sure that it's still in place and that it won't have any leak with time.